For this video I'm going to show how I made these bracelets. Now I didn't work these from a pattern because of the method that I chose to work them, but I will find some similar patterns and link them somewhere in the description or on the screen for you. To get started you should have your threads in 4 different sections. So you should have 2 sections that are the same colour on the outside and 2 sections in the centre that are also the same colour as each other. So these don't have to be the same as these, but these should match in the centre and these 2 should match on the outside. So to get started I'm going to work sections 1 and 2. So you can start with whichever one you like. So I'm going to put this one out of the way for now and starting with section 2. I want to take the thread that is in the centre of these 2, so it's on the left of section 2, and I want to bring this one over the top of the rest of the threads and then pull through and tighten this up to the top, and then take this thread and work underneath the rest of the threads and pull through. And then I'm going to drop this thread, I'm going to take the next thread, and then again I'm going to do what I did with this one but just over the remaining threads. So I'm going to work over the top and pull through, tighten, and then underneath and pull through and tighten up to the top, and then drop this thread and take the next one and do the same thing again over the remaining threads. So over and pulling it through and then under and pulling it through. I'm going to keep doing this with this section until I'm down to the last thread. So once I've done this section, I'm going to do the same thing with the other section. So obviously if you're doing colours here like I am, you'll do it in the colour order that you want. So for me, I'm going to start with purple. And I'm going to do a mirror image of what I did here. So taking the purple, I'm going to work it over the top of the other threads. And then pull it through. And tighten. And then I'm going to go underneath. And then pull through. And tighten. And then drop this thread and then take the next one in my colour sequence and do the same thing again over the remaining threads. And again I'm going to repeat this until I'm down to the last thread. So once you've done this section you should have something that looks like this, and you want to do the exact same thing at the other side, but you just want to do a mirror image. So where you've got your colours on the outside here, they should be on the outside here, and it will mirror what you've done there, but it's exactly the same knotting sequence as you did here for this section. So if you've started with tapering, you will start with something that looks like this. Alternately, you could just start from this point if you want to do your tapering in afterwards. So to get started, you want to take the thread in position 6, which should be the inside thread of this section, and you want to work this in 6 forward knots over the rest of the section of this side. Next you want to take your thread in position 19, which should be the last colour on the inside of section 4, and you want to do 6 backward knots. And once you've done that, you want to take both the colours that you've now brought to the centre and do a forward knot to join your bracelet. So to complete your first row, you want to take the thread that is now in position 6 and you want to do 5 backward knots. And you want to do a mirror of this at the other side, and taking the thread that is now in position 19, you want to do 5 forward knots. And you want to repeat the same knotting sequence all the way down. Although obviously your colours will keep changing, it's exactly the same knotting sequence all the way down until you've got the bracelet as long as you want it. So you're always going to start with the thread in position 6 and do 6 forward knots, and then you're going to start with the thread in position 19 and do 6 backward knots, join in the centre, and then you're going to work the outside parts, so doing thread 6 in 5 backward knots and thread 19 in 5 forward knots, and just keep doing this all the way down, and it will create the pattern that will show at the end of the video. So once you've got your bracelet as long as you want it, you can finish off. So you could either finish by just going straight into your braided tie-on ends, or you could do a little bit of shaping at the end. So I'm going to do shaping here, and you could either shape it back out from these sides into a regular chevron, or you can shape it like this. So this is a little bit tricky, so I'm going to show how I did this one. But this basically keeps the pattern and just shapes the edge parts here so that it brings it in line with the chevron. Now I did make a mistake on this one, which you'll probably notice, but I did learn from the mistake I made on this one, so I'll be doing this one right. So to begin, you're going to do it as normal to fill in your chevron in the centre. So you're going to take your thread number 6 and bring it to the centre, and the same with thread 19. So once you've done that centre chevron, you want to take thread 6 again and you want to do 3 backward knots. And once you get to these last 2 threads here, you want to work a backward knot over both of them. And you want to do a mirror of this at the other side. So taking thread 19, you want to do 3 forward knots. And then take the last 2 threads and treat them as one thread and do a forward knot. And then again you want to return to doing a normal chevron in the centre. So once you've done that, you want to take the thread again that is the 6th thread in, and you want to do 2 backward knots. And then take this thread over these 3 threads and do a backward knot to taper this bit in. And do a mirror of this at the other side. So taking the thread in the 19th position, do 2 forward knots. And then forward knot over the 3 threads. So you're going to keep doing this until you've worked all these threads at the side. So again, you're going to take the 6th thread and you're going to do your chevron. So once you've done that, you want to take your 6th thread and you want to do 1 backward knot. And then backward knot over all the threads that you've been tapered. And then a mirror image at the other side. So 1 backward knot. And then backward knot over all the threads that you've tapered. So next you want to do your chevron as normal with a thread in the 6th position. So once you've done that, you can take your 6th thread and you can work a backward knot over all the threads. And this time, because you've finished your chevron now, you can keep going with each thread working down the chevron. So you just want to keep doing a backward knot with all the threads over the rest of the threads on the left. And you'll do that till you get to the centre and you're shaped like that. And now you want to do a mirror image at the other side. So taking your single thread, you want to do a forward knot over the rest of the threads on the right. And then just working down with each colour, you want to keep repeating that until you've worked all the threads into the centre. So once you've done that, you should have something that looks like this. So now you can put one section out of the way, and then you want to split one of your sections into 3 equal pieces. So basically just put 3 strands with the same amount of threads in, and then you can do a 3-stranded knot to create your braided tie-on. And you want to do this at both ends. So basically you're doing this with this one as well. And once you've got the braid as long as you want it, you can tie a knot in the end to keep your threads secure. And you want to do the same thing at the other side. And once you've finished, you should end up with something that looks like this. And that is your completed bracelet.